Vince McMahon distributed steroids to his wrestlers. Vince is a wrestling legend, one of the very first promoters of the sport. He created numerous leagues to raise wrestling to a professional level, and his achievements include the famous WWE that everyone knows today, with champions like Hulk Hogan, The Rock, or Triple H. This man, who started from nothing, became a billionaire in 2014, but he almost found himself broke and in jail in the early 1990s. In early 1994, a highly publicized trial was held in which Vince McMahon was accused of offering steroids to his wrestlers to increase their body mass and make them perform better in the ring. He and his wife Linda McMahon were directly implicated and faced up to 8 years in prison. But surprisingly, and despite the damning testimony of his former ally, the legendary Hulk Hogan, Vince was ultimately acquitted and even cleared by the court. The prosecution was severely lacking in evidence to convict him. Chris Benoit kills his wife and son. Chris Benoit was a respected WWE wrestler who lived in the small town of Fayette, Georgia, with his wife Nancy and their 7-year-old son. One day, one of his WWE colleagues alerted the police that something strange might be happening at the wrestler's home, following suspicious voicemail messages he had received from Chris Benoit. The local police went to the house and discovered that Chris Benoit's entire family had been murdered, probably by Chris himself. The man had apparently strangled his wife and son before hanging himself with a cord on one of his workout machines. The WWE's reaction was immediate. It chose to distance itself from anything related to Chris Benoit, and even more so when the world learned that huge amounts of steroids had been found at his home, knowing that excessive use of steroids can cause short periods of uncontrolled rage and anger. Almost everyone agreed that this was the reason for the Benoit family's murder. However, a mystery remains. Indeed, 14 hours before the police intervened for the first time at Chris Benoit's home, an unknown internet user edited Chris Benoit's Wikipedia page to include the death of his wife. Yet, Chris Benoit was probably already dead by that time, and no one should have known about the Benoit family's murder. Despite intense investigations, we still don't know who the mysterious person is who added the macabre detail to Chris Benoit's Wikipedia page. But according to the police, this person will be surely arrested immediately if they are ever located. Rey Mysterio kills wrestler Hijo de Perra Aguayo. Friends in life as well as in the ring, wrestlers Rey Mysterio and Hijo de Perra did not think that their fight in Tijuana would end so tragically. The two men were in the ring as usual for a performance in Mexico. Everything was going well until after a bad move. Hijo de Perra Aguayo fell to the ground and couldn't get up. Normally in wrestling, everything is played out. It's up to the one who takes the blow to cushion it. But this time, Aguayo, already unconscious, couldn't prepare for the impact of Rey Mysterio. Spectators and referees, thinking that the scene was part of the show, did not intervene. Aguayo remained unconscious on the ring for more than 2 minutes before being transported to the hospital, where his death was announced. While it is difficult to explain exactly why Aguayo lost his life, security measures during the match and the late arrival of rescue teams were clearly blamed. Rey Mysterio himself had a hard time recovering from this tragedy because the man was one of his close friends and even his longtime partner. When reality surpasses fiction. Wrestler LITA and Matt Hardy had been together for some time when the young woman cheated on her partner with another wrestler named Edge. You know the WWE, always happy to have a storyline that is more true to life. The WWE decided to have the two men fight each other to settle their differences on screen. In this merciless fight for Lita's affection, the two wrestlers ended up hating each other so much that they could no longer stand each other, and the WWE was forced to choose between them. they will choose to keep Edge in his role as a villain, which is much more useful and will get rid of Matt, who will thereby lose both his job and his fiancée. Vince McMahon has been accused of sexual harassment. Vince became a billionaire in just a few decades thanks to wrestling. But in that same time period, he also faced an incredible number of scandals and accusations of sexual harassment, to the point where he has developed a very bad reputation in the United States. Particularly in 2006, when a tanning salon employee in Florida formally accused Vince McMahon of harassment. He has denied the allegations for many years and no charges have ever been brought against him. But the terrible controversy that followed this assault case only further tarnished the billionaire's image and reputation. His involvement with many female wrestlers in the league only reinforces suspicions. Hulk Hogan's racist remarks. Wrestler Hulk Hogan has never been one to hold back. At 61, he is a legend in WWE wrestling and is known and celebrated worldwide. Though he has been retired for a few years, he was recently fired from the league and removed from the pantheon of great wrestlers for making racist remarks against African Americans in a video that was supposed to remain private. Hogan insults the origin and ethnicity of the young man his daughter Brooke is seeing. This video caused such a seismic shock on social media that the former wrestler was forced to quickly publicly apologize for his racist comments. But it is already too late. The influence of the wrestling legend has now been damaged for a long time. Wrestlers die young. For the general public, wrestling is synonymous with spectacle, fake, and scripted scenarios. However, whether by crashing through a table or simply landing on their back in the ring, a wrestler feels very real pain every night and sometimes several times a night. Some studies conducted by specialists even claim that 20% of American wrestlers do not reach the age of 55. This is twice the mortality rate at this age for the average population. Why does nobody really know? What is certain is that during their careers, wrestlers' bodies are subjected to numerous trials with repeated blows and the use of harmful substances such as steroids and other drugs, which end up having a serious impact on these wrestlers' health. Vince McMahon and WWE Divas. The great pope of WWE is often accused of everything and anything. But if there is one accusation that comes up very often, that he has had affairs with some of the female wrestlers. Some claim that his status as the kingpin of the WWE undoubtedly allowed him to put many girls in his bed and accuse him of having intimate relationships with numerous WWE divas, such as Candice Michelle or Trish Stratus. It is true that in the early 2000s, Vince liked to boast that he was a sex symbol. But it is now impossible to distinguish truth from rumors. In any case, with rumors and truth, sometimes there is only a fine line. It is clear that Linda McMahon's husband has never hidden that he likes pretty girls. The exploitation of Eddie Guerrero's death by WWE. Wrestling star Eddie Guerrero died in November 2005 of an overdose. He was one of the WWE stars, along with Randy Orton and Rey Mysterio, and it must be said that his death did not help the company. Thus, after the announcement of his tragic death, WWE decided to continue to use his notoriety in storylines, especially for some fights including those of Rey Mysterio, who is one of Guerrero's best friends in the ring and in life. The exploitation of this great wrestler's death was really a bad media move for the league. WWE was accused of using the tragic loss of the wrestler to sell tickets for events and other products, a less than shining marketing move for WWE. The tragedy of the Von Erich family members. The Von Erich family is a well-known family in the world of WWE wrestling. Fritz Von Erich, the head of the family, was the first to become a wrestler, and then all of his children followed suit. But despite the glory, Fritz's personal life was plagued by tragedy and misfortune. His first son was electrocuted in a puddle of water. His second son is said to have died of an overdose shortly after his granddaughter died of acute enteritis. His other son, Mike, died sometime later from toxic shock syndrome following a shoulder operation. Another of his sons committed suicide following his brother's death and his repeated failures in the wrestling world. Kerry, another of his sons, suffered the same fate after an injury and amputation. Addicted to painkillers, he eventually committed suicide. As for Fritz, after a successful career in the WWE, he eventually died of lung cancer in 1997. Since then, some of his grandchildren have started their careers in the wrestling world. All fans hope that they will have more luck than their deceased relatives. Which of these scandals in the WWE shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to give it a thumbs up below and subscribe if you haven't already. See you soon.